Dinner and a Book is supported by the Rex and Alice A. Martin Foundation of Elkhart, celebrating the spirit of Alice Martin and her love of good food and good friends.
Meet the residents of number 12, Rue des Amants, à Paris, the city of light, the socialite, the nice guy, the alcoholic, the girl on the verge, the concierge. Everyone's a neighbor and everyone's a suspect, and everyone knows something they're not telling. See You in the Paris Apartment, a novel by Lucy Foley, and joining me today is Jackie Hughes. Greetings. I am so glad you're back here on Dinner
This is
and
such a
Book.
pleasure, Gail.
Yes, it certainly is fun. And we're going to make some good food.
We are.
We're going to have some good tasting.
That we are.
And I think we want to talk, first of all, a little about these characters.
Yes.
There's a whole cast of them, and they're all French except two. Mm-hmm. And they're British.
Yes.
Brother and half sister and half brother, something of that nature.
Uh-huh.
And so let's talk about those characters. Jessie, the half sister of Ben, what is she like?
She's very open.
Yes.
She's a very honest person, and she just has. She's having a hard time with people who aren't quite as open.
Yes.
And because she just wears her heart on her sleeve.
Yes.
Type of person.
I want to say American, but she's British.
Yes.
And she wants to find out what's going on here.
She's very curious.
Her stepbrother's not here. He's supposed to meet her.
Mm-hmm.
And who is her stepbrother?
Benjamin is an interesting person, and I think what makes this story so interesting is Benjamin is a key character, but you never really meet Benjamin. He's always in the eyes of someone else.
Yes.
And so everyone is aloof, but he is too. There's always this sort of veil of, you wonder what's really happening.
Well, the fact is they are European and they're French. And French do not, knock on the door and say, "Hi, I'm Mimi, how are you?
Yeah.
Let's have a drink."
That's right.
They're just much more reserved, private, and it really comes out in this book. Everybody is suspicious. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? But the real problem here is when she gets to his apartment, he's not there.
That's right.
She can't find Ben. And I think it's interesting to note that Ben and he was adopted by one family, she was adopted by another, and he learned to be a posh Englishman. He went into a very wealthy family. He went to the best schools. He had the best food. He had the best accent. In Europe, in England, you can study how to have the best accent, how to be posh, don't you know?
Plus he was good looking.
And very good looking. And he always said something like, "I'm going to get them to like me." And he knew how to do it. He had that certain sense of, I'm really the guy here. And then you have the socialite. What is her name? Sonia? Sylvia. Sophie.
Sophie. She was
So-
so Parisian.
Yes. She has learned to be Parisian.
She has.
Yes.
And she was a fast learner.
Yes, she was. Oh my goodness. And then you have her husband, Jacques, who is a nasty person. Nasty
Yes.
to his to
Yes.
his sons.
Jacques is truly the villain in this
He
story.
is. He is. He pits his sons.
There's nothing likable about Jacques
Yes, and
outside of his money.
Yes, and he makes his money through the wine business. They have two sons, Nicholas and what was the other? Antoine.
Antoine, yes.
Antoine is the alcoholic.
Yes.
Nicholas is a friend of Ben and said, come on, you can come and live in one of these apartments. There are 5 in this building. And they're very nice apartments. And everybody, kind of decorates them like anybody in their own way. Then there are 2 girls. Mimi, we don't know about Mimi until the book kind of moves on.
That's true. Mimi is a volatile character.
Yes. Yes, she is. She's had a lot of pulling and tugging in her life. We don't know who she's the daughter of until the middle, toward the end of
It's really the end.
Everything happens fast at
It
the
does.
end. And sometimes I don't like books like that. And then she has a roommate, Camille.
Camille.
And she's a little flirt. Oh my gosh, the clothes she doesn't wear. And she is
definitely a party animal.
She's a little Brigitte Bardot.
Oh, she is.
Yes, she is.
She's
And
going to have a good time.
Yes, and that's all she wants. And she thinks that Mimi, short for Merveille, her mother called her a little miracle, a marvelous miracle. She thinks that Mimi is just sort of, stuffy and all of that. So you have all these characters. You have Ben who has disappeared. And before we get started, let's talk about what we're making. What are you doing for the French today?
A very French dish, and it is really a summer wonder because
Yes.
you take so many vegetables from the garden and
Yeah.
use them to make ratatouille. And it is an easy dish. It's almost a French vegetable stew, I would
Yes,
say.
yes. And you're going to use all those great ingredients, eggplant,
Yes.
aubergine, this is such a good dish. And I made it 2 days ago with your first eggplant. And it was delicious,
good.
delicious. I am going to, first of all, mix this drink. Well, it doesn't need any mixing, but we have here Saint-Germain. This is my liqueur of the year and the day and the week. It's called Saint-Germain. Saint-Germain, and it, of course, that's a name, a French name, and it's elderberry liqueur. Now, what am I going to do with this? Well, first of all, I'm going to pour some champagne in the glasses. And I learned this through a family member. Sometimes we've had the French drink with champagne and cassis, but this time we're doing elderberry wine. And of course, this will help us cook better. It will help us speak better. You're all set there? Is
Yes.
that working okay? Good.
It is. I just
Okay.
didn't want it to get too hot.
So we're going to top it off with some more and have a little toast. Think about what we should toast. Oh my gosh, there's so many things in this book. I mean, this is for you.
Thank you. Merci.
Yeah, de rien. To you. To us. To you too. Tell me what you think.
Delightful.
A little sweet.
Yes.
Just a little sweet
is,
kick.
just that
that
touch.
elderberry. I recommend it. I really do.
Yes.
So we are meeting these French people. This book is written by an English woman, not an American. So we have somebody else describing the French, and it's English. And there are people in Europe, the French and the English don't always get along. In fact, I knew someone very well educated in England, was a headmaster. He'd never been to France. I don't need to go to France. It was like, whoa. So we're getting this ready. I am going to make some crepes, and I have to season the pan a little bit. So you always, it's like sometimes a pancake. The first one is kind of like you throw it away, but then after that, I shouldn't speak too soon. After that, it usually goes pretty well. And I'm going to have some cream and some, that might be on simmer. Do you want?
No, I don't
it is.
want it on simmer. There we go.
That's good.
Yep.
And we'll add some
There we go.
confiture, and we'll add some chocolate, and we'll add, what else are we going to add? Oh, whipping cream. Yeah, so we'll make those. And part of this we're doing is because the socialite, she is Well, we find out about her background. Everything happens at the end of the book, and you find out, oh my gosh, this woman who thought she was the upper class Parisian,
Yes.
she had a very hard life. And her husband, Jacques, the nasty one, is not a very nice man. He
He's
isn't.
not nice at all. And he's
No.
not nice to her, nor is he nice to his family.
That's right. And we'll tell you a little later on how Jacques, Sylvia, I'm calling her Sonia. Sophie. I remember I had a poodle named Sophie. Oh, okay. How they met in their early life. So we try to set the stage and talk about these characters. Nick is someone you just can't believe. He is the type that will look at you and sort of insinuate, you will like me, everybody does. And he doesn't have to work too hard.
No, he doesn't.
He's good looking and he's friendly. And then you have the concierge. And when I was in school in France, the concierge was the guard of the apartment building.
Yes.
She had this tiny little room. She wore her little knitted hat. She had on knitted socks and a long skirt. And she would walk around looking to see who's coming in, who's going out. So Lucy...
She was in charge of being nosy.
Yes. Well, and she thinks it's her responsibility to make sure things
Indeed.
are running correctly. And so we've got her, and she makes comments. In fact, she tells Jesse, you might as well not get involved here.
She's suspicious of everyone.
Yes,
And
yes.
with that, Jessie is just such a, what should I say, anomaly to her. She's just not used to someone who's quite that.
Very friendly and outgoing. Now, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to show you a picture of, a condo, and they don't call them condos, but an apartment in Paris that might look like the one that we're in today. We'll be right back. And our book is The Paris Apartment. My guest is Jackie Hughes. She is getting her ratatouille. It's sizzling and cracking, and
Yes.
you're going to add all those ingredients.
I've cooked the eggplant and now I'm browning the zucchini, and I will take this out and put it in a bowl, and then I will add some other ingredients, and then we
This
put
is-
them all together, and voila.
And that's the French way. You cook everything separate, and then you put it together. Gail Martin doesn't do it that way. Gail Martin puts everything in the pot.
Well, as
and-
Americans, we're a little more impatient.
Yes, but the sense is you can't put something that cooks, in 20 seconds with something that needs 10 minutes. So you have to kind of, decide how to do that. And I am now making this nice crepe recipe. I've got 2 eggs in here, and I have 2 tablespoons of melted butter. I have 2/3 a cup of flour. And then what do I have in milk? I have a 1/2 cup of milk. I'm going to kind of whisk this together. And when I do I'm going to make a first one that just is sort of like a test. And I've often said to myself, no way will I ever make crepes. This could be a real disaster. And for some people, it turns out very well. And I wanted to thank Diane Franson for her lovely crepe pan. Look at this
I
pan.
know.
Look, there's no high edges. I mean, it's not totally flat because you don't want it rolling off out of the pan. And I'm going to season this first because it probably will not take. The first crepe you kind of throw away. So don't feel bad if you're making little pancakes or crepes and the first one doesn't look like one. I hope the second one does, though. And this is a very typical French. You can see them on the street. They're making crepes on the street. You can fill them with vegetables. You can fill them with fruit. You can make dessert crepes. And I'm kind of using this as a dessert crepe with chocolate. I should say chocolat de Hershey, and a little bit of a garden marmalade. Not marmalade, really. It is a jelly. And then I'll add whipping cream, and voila. That's our dessert. And I found out that Whole Foods sells these crepes pre-made. And that is really something.
Yes.
It takes a lot of worry out of
I
making
know.
crepes. So,
I do like cheating on cooking sometimes.
you know, Jackie, I noticed the author puts a lot of attention on the what shall I say, the staircases, the halls, the area in apartments that are known as chambre de bonne. A bonne is a maid. So they had these hidden staircases,
Oops, sorry.
and you'd go up and you would see where the maids had their quarters. Well, this fits in very well in this story because it's used as a sort of a secret passageway.
It is.
And
Everybody wants to spy on each other,
and they spy, they can look through little keyholes.
especially the concierge.
Yes, she comes around and makes sure everybody's taking care of their laundry, getting their laundry out of the dryer, and there's a cave with wonderful wine in it. And that's, of course, Jacques' cave, which I'm surprised he lets everybody wander around down there.
I know. Well, I think Jacques is, it's interesting because Jacques is talked about, but he rarely makes an appearance.
Right.
So you really form your own opinion of Jacques and his physical stature and attitude. You know he's arrogant and just
He
a son of a
reminds
gun.
me of that French man that was going to run for president of France, and he's caught with a maid
Oh,
in New
yes.
York City.
Yes.
He's that type.
Yes, he is.
Because he was always getting involved with little groups of women, and wherever he went, Belgium or Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to make sure this is not so hot that
And
this
Jacques
will
was
burn.
not kind to Sophie.
Oh no.
He was not kind to his children. He really was not a nice person, and you don't like him in the story at all. I mean,
No.
they
There-
really set him up to be the villain early on.
Well, and there weren't too many likable people. Now let's
there-
see.
there weren't.
Woo, let's see what I do.
Jesse, do you have the smooth enough?
I hope. No, it doesn't matter because
You hit one if you.
I think this needs a little more liquid
I think so,
myself.
too.
But we're going to let this kind of move around. It should be more liquidy, yes. Now, what would Julia do? She'd add some liquid.
Shall I be Jacques?
She would add some more liquid to this. And since I don't have any more milk, I'm going to add a little water.
Well, that's it.
Okay, how are your vegetables doing?
They're doing fine. I'm ready to put in my green pepper. Let's see. I'm going to add the onions.
Yes.
So the onions, and then I'll be grating some garlic, and adding. Then the tomatoes will go in. Excuse my fingers here. The tomatoes will go in last because
They cook quickly, don't they?
do
They
cook quickly. But they're going to add the moisture to the dish that we'll need.
Well, we meet these people. They have some parties. And this is where I think a lot of the criticism of the book comes in. That kind of sags in the middle. What are these people doing? And Jesse's still waiting for Ben. And we're hearing a little bit about Ben from everybody that lives there. And they could have used a little editing in the middle of that story.
They could.
Yes, I think so.
I think it's very interesting because Ben is one of these people that, although you never meet him physically,
Yes.
you
Well,
hear about him through everyone else,
yeah.
and you really have to set up your own mental
Picture
of him.
Yes.
But
That's like a
he's-
pancake.
But everybody loves Benjamin, and yet they hate Benjamin.
They don't like his self-assuredness and his good looks and the fact that he knows they're going to like him. And he pushes it, doesn't he?
He does. He's charming, but I really think he likes people. But he wants
Yeah.
people to like him also.
Very much so.
But he likes people and he's charming, but he doesn't develop a relationship.
And not even with his sister.
No,
You see,
no.
she is more. she works in a bar. In England, she worked in a bar. And she was with some heavy, tough characters.
No, she's rough around the edges for sure.
That's the way to put it. She's rough around
Yes.
the edges. He's posh. She's learned the perfect pronunciation of words. I find it amazing. People do take elocution lessons to sound like they're from London. Very posh sound. And it probably happens in every country. There are people out east that want to sound like they're mid-Atlantic. Oh, yes. And I'm looking at this. This is a thinner one, which I'm happy about. And we're going to try to get it to fold in half. So what moves this along? What moves this along? It does take a while to get started.
It does.
And we have the story of Sophie and her husband, and then
Mimi.
And Mimi and Jesse meets the man from The Guardian.
Yes.
And he goes with her. And what moves this on, it comes alive. They go to a gentleman's club.
Ah, yes.
And the women are dancing on the stage. Some of them are nude, some are dressed. And there are little meeting places in the back where the men can come and bring their mistresses.
Yes, because there was the little card that they found in Benjamin's wallet
Yes.
that Jesse brought to the editor, and
Well, so you see,
he recognized it.
this is the jolt that gets this going again after we've been studying these people. And so, and Jesse kind of recognizes one of the women that looks very embarrassed there on the stage. And so we move on to this story, and we found out at the end who was another entertainer at that club.
That's right.
It was Sophie. That's how Jacques met her, and it was his club. And he is not that nice to her. She is beautiful. She knows how to act like a true Parisian. And we've got a little of everything in this story. And that's why I was bringing up this Levi Strauss that was a little bit like this man. There was a special documentary on him on Netflix, and I watched it. I think this is going to have to be happy by itself here. I might have time to do another one. So at the end of the book, we find out that by looking around these passageways, that Ben has been held captive in one of the chambre de bonne, maid's room, and he's been trying to work on a project. Do you know what that?
Along with working on Sophie.
Yes, he and Sophie. But at the same time, we have to let you know that Sophie came from that background, and he is writing an expose on this kind of activity in Paris, and they don't want him to succeed. So that's why he has disappeared. And we have a few things to finish up here. We're going to invite you up the stairway, up into, let's go to Jacques' house and have everybody.
Everybody's been involved with Benjamin in some point or other. Benjamin has woven his way into everyone's lives, either prior to the story evolving or during.
Now, Jackie, we have to take a break, get ourselves together, get our food done.
Okay.
And you're coming. You're going to join us on 12 Rue des Amants. We'll see you soon. Today we've been talking about the Paris apartment, and my guest has been Jackie Hughes. And I just wanted to say, when this woman finds out that her husband's dead, and I think she had something to do with it, she goes out and she eats a big steak meal with a big dessert. She doesn't have to please him anymore.
That's right.
Yes. And what intrigued you about the book?
I think, truly it had a surprise ending. I felt throughout the book that, especially that, I think I know the outcome of this. And truly I didn't.
You didn't?
So
no.
The last chapter, and the fact that the characters, their involvement with one another. I'm not going to give it away exactly their involvement, but they All were
Yes.
very tight.
Yes, very tight, very tight. And so I recommend the book, particularly if you like Paris and you understand the differences in people's personalities. You have a fantastic ratatouille here, and you used a
Yes.
special
And-
technique.
And this is really a terrific Parisian dish, especially summer vegetables.
Yes.
But I cooked it in the French manner, cooking the vegetables, browning them separately, and then when you add the tomatoes, then it pulls all the flavors together, and that's when you finally add your sprig of thyme and bay leaf.
Can't wait.
Let the tomatoes simmer and blend the flavors.
Can't wait to taste it with some French bread and then the crepes. Oh my goodness, it's been quite a day. We are so pleased that you joined us. Jackie, I'm glad you came.
Well, I'm so glad I came also.
Remember, good food, good friends.
And bubbly was a
Oh,
was a-
that's another
was
one.
a
Yes, yes, and good
unexpected
bubbly
surprise.
makes for a good
Yes.
life. We'll see you next time.
This WNIT local production has been made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.
Dinner and a Book is supported by the Rex and Alice A. Martin Foundation of Elkhart, celebrating the spirit of Alice Martin and her love of good food and good friends.